Hello, dear patients. Your favorite doctor here, Dr. Blake. This time we are going to talk about a very serious issue. So picture this. You just purchased a brand new game. You're very excited to try it out. You finish the game you're currently playing and start this new one with high hopes and illusion, and then you realize the game is not as great as you thought. In fact, you can even say that it sucks. A lot. And now you're experiencing the dreadful feeling known as buyer's remorse. Well, fear not. I am here to help you out and deal with the situation with my patented Dr. Plague's Declassified Guide to... Hello? What? Wait, no. I don't... You can't... Fine, I'll see you in court, fucking idiot. It seems I have been sued by Nickelodeon. I wonder why that is. Alright, let's get this out of the way first. I know what you're gonna say. Mr. Doctor, how can you get buyer's remorse when reviews for games are widely available all over the internet? But believe me, it is possible due to a number of different factors. First of all, not everyone is relying on game reviews when considering to buy a game. You can see a cool as hell game trailer that completely sells you on the game, so you think, hey, that's a must buy, I'll get that day one. There is also the option to pre-order a game. Games are hyped a lot nowadays, especially big AAA releases, so if one of them bombs, you're screwed. What's that? You're talking about refunds? Huh, good luck trying to get a refund from the eShop or the PS Store. Sometimes you might want to give the benefit of the doubt to a game that's poorly reviewed but you think might be for you, and turns out the reviews were right and it's a piece of garbage. Regardless of the reason, you're stuck with a horrible game that you don't like. What do you do next? Do you push through to the end or just take the loss and move on? Well, as hard as it might be to believe, I've experienced this issue firsthand, despite being a big connoisseur. I know that's hard to believe, so let my suffering be your advice on what is the most appropriate way to deal with buyer's remorse. Let's begin with the latest on the list of games I totally regret buying, Slain: Back from Hell. This is a 2D action platform game that takes a lot of influence from heavy metal imagery. Hell, you even headbang when you beat a boss in order to honor the great hornet metal god. Okay, I guess. But wait, that sounds like it's right up my alley. What happened? Once you start playing, you can see that the controls are pretty rough. The movement and attacks feel very stiff. The story is not very interesting at all, and the most disparaging aspect of all, the gameplay is not good. The difficulty of the title is inflated by putting a lot of bullshit enemies everywhere and ganking you up. Like here, these wolves keep coming and the attack is just too slow to kill them all on time. They can stagger you to death without even a moment to retaliate. I just recently started the title thinking that it would be good, but I was sadly mistaken. I made it to the Wolf Forest level but couldn't drag myself to keep playing. One thing is playing a difficult game and finding frustration in a lack of progression, but you have to recognize when you're not having fun. This time, I took the L and moved on with another game. Now, let's talk about Immortal Planet. This is kind of a Souls game with an isometric view. You play as a kind of cyborg who has to traverse a facility slaying robots and other cyborgs. This one could have been a great game, but the movement and combat can feel very heavy and clunky. The stamina on your character can deplete very quickly by just attacking the enemies, and as it is a trope for this type of games, the enemy placement and combinations can be very frustrating, which is even more aggravating due to the fact that the checkpoints are very few and far between, so toughing it up for an entire section just to get one super strong enemy with all your resources depleted and get killed and sent all the way back across the level is not a fun experience to me. So once again, I accepted the fact that I was not having fun and moved on without looking back. Alright, this one's quite special. It is Sunder Eldritch Edition on Nintendo Switch. I remember watching a trailer for this game that ended up on a gigantic boss. It looked so awesome. Well, nothing farther from the truth. Not even that cool looking boss was good. The game is a mix of Metroidvania with a bit of Souls-inspired combat and, let me tell you, it doesn't achieve either of them. This one has a similar problem to Slain, aka a bunch of unfair enemies with bullshit attack patterns and high damage output that ambush you in big numbers and gang up on you. You are literally made out of paper in this game, given how easily enemies can kill you. The upgrades you get are also very situational and are mostly for exploration and traversal in the world. As for the story, as it's common in games inspired by the Souls saga, it's vague and obscure, even though it's noticeably influenced by Lovecraft and his mythos. I mean, the final boss is literally called Nyarlathotep. I managed to make it all the way to the penultimate boss, which is one of the cheapest bosses I have ever had the displeasure of fighting, and I just couldn't drag myself to finish the game. Even knowing I only had one more boss to beat, I accepted the truth. I wasn't having any fun. Once again, I took the L and moved on. Okay, if you thought I regret buying the previous games, you have no idea how much I rue the day I picked up a controller to play this game. Just uttering its name is like spitting poison. That's Gambit. This one is, again, a Souls-inspired game that people were referring to as the 2D Dark Souls. The game looked really nice, and being the Souls fan that I am, I went ahead and pre-ordered it on Steam as soon as possible. Then I started playing and all the hype fell to the floor. This game has been one of the biggest disappointments ever. You would assume that in a game of this style, the combat would be smooth and intuitive, but it's not. Even with light weapons, the combat is heavy and cumbersome, and with such cool looking enemies and bosses, this game deserved better. We as gamers deserve better than we got with this piece of filth. The movement isn't particularly good either, something that hindered exploration overall, and some of the game's areas were atrocious, like a dungeon area near the end of the game, which, by the way, also had a boss you had to kill under pressure before the blood level rose, or else you would die. Hello? Bullshit department? I think you might want to take a look at this. And before you Death's Gambit's lovers say anything, I actually finished this game. Out of the games talked about in this video, I've only managed to finish 2 of them. Go ahead and take a guess what the other one is. The answer will surprise you. So yes, I managed to beat most of the bosses in the game, got to the final encounter and finished the game. Did I have fun? Not at all, but I was keen on getting my money's worth, so I finished it out of spite, which I don't recommend at all. This game stole years from my life and I want them back. Now, going back in time, a lot, we have a game that is widely considered as one of the worst games of all time, and I had the misfortune of owning this game as a kid. Now, it is necessary to keep into account that in this case it was not a pirated game from the PS1, it was an original game for the GBA, so I had to save a lot of money to get it, and once I arrived to the store, I decided to buy this putrid garbage called Ice Age. Where do I even begin? This is a 2D platformer where you play as Manny and Roshan, the human baby, or Sid, going through different levels by collecting acorns, sorting obstacles, and defeating enemies. There's also a boss at the end of each Manny and Roshan level, but calling them bosses is being very generous. Look, I know this is a game made for kids, but even kids will find this insulting. The game can be beaten in less than an hour, it looks horrendous, the music is ear-piercing and the controls are very stiff. The game is also very repetitive, recycling enemies and bosses throughout all the levels in the game, which are only 10. If you think this was the other game I managed to beat, you are absolutely correct. I finished it the very day I bought it and instantly felt a sense of regret for getting that specific game instead of literally anything else in the store. Moving on, for the first time in this list, we're going to take a look at a game that actually has some quality to it, even if I myself can't see it. There are a lot of Pokemon games, and for the most part they have maintained the base formula throughout the series. You pick a starter Pokemon and go on an adventure to get all 8 gym badges before going to the league and take on the Elite Four and the regional champion. A lot of people have an issue with this formula, so Game Freak decided to change it up in Pokemon Sun and Moon. This was such a poor decision that they had to revert to the old formula for the next generation of games. According to my 3DS, I have played Pokemon Moon for around 20 hours, and that's a lot of time considering how much I despise this game, and that is because I still wanted to get my money's worth out of this field. Game Freak decided to get rid of gyms in favor of the Iceland Trials and the Kahunas, replacing gyms and gym leaders respectively. Now you don't have to defeat various trainers and solve puzzles in order to get to the gym leader, but instead you take part of a trial, which involved battles with buffed Pokemon after doing some idiotic tasks like taking photos or fishing, and then you can take on the Kahuna in a traditional battle. The Alola region isn't very interesting, and the new Pokemon introduced can be very hit or miss. As much as I want, I can't objectively say that this is a bad game, or else I'd have a lot of people at my throat. However, I can honestly say that I did not enjoy my time with this game, and I regret spending my money on this thing. I would have been better off getting Pokemon X or Y instead. For the final game, I've chosen one I thought I had a lot of potential, and then when I actually played it, I felt like a fool for putting my trust in the wrong place. Very related to the previous entry, I am talking about Nexomon Extinction, one of those games that come out every once in a while and are labeled as Pokemon killers, but end up failing in that regard. Well, this one fell hard. First off, the premise of the game is ridiculous. A reject from school turns out to be a legendary chosen one that has the power to save the world. Apart from the story, the gameplay is very lackluster, with the overall movement of the character often feeling very stiff. Although some of the Nexomon designs are pretty cool, the rest are very plain and uninspired. The game also feels the need to constantly break the fourth wall in dialogue sections, but it doesn't come up as funny or clever, just forced. An interesting fact is that this game is actually a sequel. I didn't know about the existence of the first Nexomon game until recently, when it was released on Switch, after the sequel had already been released on the platform for quite a while, because of course. Overall, this is a game that doesn't even deserve a second look, and I feel like I wasted my money. After all of this rambling and catharsis, what is my diagnosis? Let's ask another question in order to answer that. Why do we play video games? Maybe you like simulation. Maybe you use them as a means of escapism and distract yourself from real life stuff. Maybe games help you relax and clear your mind. Maybe you like to be challenged. There are a lot of reasons, but there is one constant. Video games are meant to be fun. They are meant to be enjoyed. They are meant to be entertaining. If you're playing a game you don't like and you're just going through the motions for the sake of finishing it and not feeling like you wasted your money, you're making a mistake. In this case, the best way to deal with buyer's remorse is to just accept it. Stop playing that game, cut your losses, and move on to better things. If you have a physical copy, you can either sell it or give it away to a friend who you know might or will enjoy the game. If it's a digital download, just delete that shit and make room for better experiences. If you want to avoid it altogether, just look out for reviews of the game or even gameplays to see if the game really fits your style and expectations. And, as always, keep enjoying what you like to play to wash out the bitter taste from your mouth. Time is such a valuable thing nowadays, so don't waste it going through the motions of an experience you're not enjoying. This has been all for today, my patients. Have you ever experienced buyer's remorse? What game made you feel like you wasted your money? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like my content and want to see more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe button. It truly helps a struggling artist like me. And remember, one game a day keeps the plague doctor away. Now, if you excuse me, I'll go ahead and buy this game called Biomutant. I'm sure I'll have one hell of a time. No, 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 no! Wait! Wait! Oh, not again.